Okay, I want to make a quick video on a particular verse that a lot of people talk about when it comes to the rapture. And one of the most famous verses regarding the rapture is 1 Corinthians 15:51. And so let's go there. And it says, Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall be changed, all be changed, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall all be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So basically this verse, a lot of people that believe in the pre-tribulation rapture say that there is a mysterious rapture that happens before the tribulation. But this is not what this verse is talking about. This verse in this chapter is talking about the resurrection and what happens at the resurrection. Because people were confused. When Jesus comes back, what happens to our bodies? And this is what Paul is telling us. He's telling us that this is the mystery. That some of us will be alive, and who are alive, our bodies will be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. And when does that moment of a twinkling of an eye happen? It happens at the last trump. Many people are confused by this, and we can look at this whole chapter and see what it's talking about. It says that all flesh is not the same flesh, but there is one kind of flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, another of fishes, another of birds. There are also celestial bodies and bodies terrestrial, but the glory of the celestial is one, and the glory of the terrestrial is another. There is one glory of the sun, and another glory of the moon, and another glory of the stars, for one star differs from another star in glory. So also is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption, it is raised in corruption. It is sown a natural body, it is raised a spiritual body. And so if you look at what this whole thing is talking about, and it even says right here, it says in bold letters, this is talking about the mystery of the resurrection. So now we can go to Matthew 24. And Jesus talks about his second coming. And what does he say? He says, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. Stars fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be broken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to another. And so what I am saying is that 1 Corinthians 15 is talking about the same thing, the same event, which happens after the tribulation, not a mysterious timing of the rapture, of a separate rapture, but the mystery of what happens to our bodies at that time. And so I hope you guys can understand this, and I hope that you guys read First Corinthians 15, the whole chapter, and see what it's actually talking about. As we can see, it said that it's talking about the mystery of the resurrection. And what Matthew 24:30 or 24:31 is talking about is the resurrection, not a separate rapture that occurs before tribulation, but as Jesus said, immediately after the tribulation of those days, then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man. So many people die for the faith even today. I believe almost all the disciples were killed for their faith in Jesus. So why would we be excluded? Because it's not about us living or dying on this earth. We're all going to die and we're all going to suffer. But why do we think that we'll be raptured before tribulation? And the reason why is because people equate tribulation to God's wrath. They think that they're the same. But God's wrath is something much more horrific, actually. It is devastation of the body and the soul. Meaning, when God's wrath comes, which is after the resurrection, after the tribulation, it is not the tribulation, it's after the tribulation is God's wrath, then those people who face God's wrath will not, they will go to hell, and they will be met with fire and brimstone, which happens at the wrath of God. I'll go into that one in the next, in one of the future videos. But anyways, please take a look at these two chapters, Matthew 24 and 1 Corinthians 15, and see if you can understand that 1 Corinthians 15 is just talking about what happens to our bodies at the time of when Jesus comes and gathers his elect.